Innovative Excellence and Community Partnership Award from the Tai Chi for Health Institute. And Paul's going to tell you about that because he knows a lot more about it than I do. And so he's going to come and talk about that and present the award, and then they're going to give a little talk.
Thank you, Jim. It's good to see you. It's, wow, the last day. That's amazing. And I really felt this is a very special occasion, a very special workshop. Certainly for me. This is a 26 years, so that is incredibly significant. Also, for me, most of last year, since March, I've been caring for my partner 24/7. And it's a challenge in so many ways, of course, to her, for her medical condition. But being a carer is also, you care about people you care for, and you worry about conditions. And it's time, one of the things I learned is, when things are not going well, you don't feel like doing anything. Then it can be such a challenge to get up and do Tai Chi. And sometimes trying hard is just not enough. So, not all the time, but most of the time I manage. And when it's trying hard, it's not enough. I just turn myself mindless. Don't think about anything. Just walk to where I usually practice. And then I'll just do a warm-up exercise first. And I'll just do a set of Tai Chi for arthritis. And then I get the feeling coming back to me, then I back to my practice. So it's a positive cycle or vicious cycle. The less you practice, the less you're able to cope with challenges, and the more you practice. But to get there and start is a challenge. So I learned a lot about that. And when I practice Tai Chi, there's so many more occasions my mind shoot to something else. I'm sure there's a lot of you go through challenging life at similar occasions. And then just by bringing yourself to being mindful, and that process of doing Tai Chi not the way you used to, and getting to be mindful and doing it again, there's something that actually helped me to understand Tai Chi in a way, deeper way. And certainly, I know when I manage to do as much as I can, and by the end of that 1 hour or 1 hour and a half practice, I felt that I can manage the challenge better. And somehow, there's a depth of Tai Chi that I have not felt before. So it's a balance. Yes, thank you for that knowledge, because I think you feel something too. And then I happened to read a book about Chopin, the famous composer, the beautiful music, about his whole life. He suffered from a chronic disease, most likely cystic fibrosis, instead of what people think that he have died of tuberculosis. And the thing is, while he have challenge of health all his life, how did he compose this out of the world beautiful music that moved everybody? So perhaps I'm just trying to draw a similarity in how we learn through challenges. And of course, you must remember Jerry trying to conduct the wave. Draw these things that we try to be here to lift them up, to make a difference. And the wave come, and they take it away. So why bother? And I think somewhere in Jerry's film, he gave me that idea, why bother? That's really life. Why bother? Why try so hard? Because then you live. Whether that's been washed away, or maybe it wasn't. We saw it. It left a mark on us. And it's a trying, I think. And that is part of what the Institute do. We want to be accessible and open to everyone. And I think there are many of us who really, to ourselves, to others, in spite of challenges we have, we still dare join that circle by sharing Tai Chi with different people, making a difference. And I think my friend Mike and Denise set an incredible example. There is this lady who really have challenging life and speech problem, so much more problems, and they help her. And I met Kara many times when I went to workshop in Townsville with Mike and Denise, and then she wanted to be an instructor. Can you imagine when you can't even communicate words and you train someone as an instructor? So the passion that they have to fulfill Kara's wish, that was so moving. It also exemplified the mission of the Institute is that we want to reach anybody, anyone can be. And I think that's, if you've been doing what they did and going through so much hurdle to train Kara to be instructor, and we did a little bit of it, capture a bit of it in a video last year. If you want to see it again, it's on YouTube, and if you can't find it, email me. I will send you the link. It tells you part of the story on Kara's side, Kara's mother, and of course, Mike and Denise, who did an amazing job. So that's just an example, and I think they set such a wonderful example that the Institute want to recognize that. So I just go back to the first award of this kind was awarded to the health promotion unit that's in charge of half the area of New South Wales. But that only got 500,000 people, still a lot of people. New South Wales is big, that half area is as big as California as state. So it's a huge area. And they start Tai Chi for Arthritis, and they start a volunteer program that touch a significant population of people who needed it. An instructor can travel miles, many miles, just to teach them. And they have over 100 volunteers take turns, reach almost every area in that huge part. And I thought the people in charge of that part of the health department did an incredible job. And they also show how affordable it is. It's only cost about $95 per person per year for the health department, everything included, training, everything, for each person, each participant. And of course, it saved huge amount of money, falls prevention, all the health issues. So that's a set example of how effective Tai Chi for arthritis can be, and how effective a health department can bring it to as many people. And I'm sure that inspired maybe the USA government, I don't know, but it's incredible achievement, and that's the first winner of that innovative award. Yeah, and one of the winner, I won't go through all of them, it's on the list on our website, is Madame Park, who's now about 80 when she received the award. I first met her when she was over 60, and she came to my workshop in a wheelchair, and she doesn't know what's Tai Chi, but because her friend, who's the dean of nursing faculty in South Korea National University, and you know, they're a bit like Chinese Korean, and your friend like you, and your friends help you to do things and tell you to do things, and you have to do it. So, so Professor Lee says, Madame Park, you go to Dr. Lang's workshop. Yes. So the workshop's here. Where's Madame Park? So Professor Lee rang up. Where are you? She said, are you serious? So okay, she take a cab and she's here half an hour in a wheelchair. And anyway, a year later, she practically didn't need the wheelchair. She was having a walking stick, and she went to the health center and tell the doctor in the health center that she wants to run a Tai Chi for arthritis class. And to cut the long story short, within 10 years, she have, I try to get the figure right. She have about 200 students, and she runs like 15 classes a week. And by that time, she's close to 80. And she say, you know, Dr. Lam, the worst challenge is that all want to be my favorite. And a lady like that also deserves the award, just as Mike and Denise. So I'd like you to welcome my friend. On behalf of the Institute, this is a special award to inspire others. And you guys definitely. Janet, come on, join us.
Thank you.
That certainly is a lot to live up to. And in particular, the list of predecessors, and I'd like to refer to last year's recipient, Amatula. At least we didn't have to go to jail first, which is really nice. Yeah, so I'm very humbled now. But I do have a little speech written out, because Denise told me a couple of days ago I might have to prepare a little acceptance speech. So I did Google, you know, the Academy Awards, and then I realised actually this is a family program. So I do apologise that I'm not fully prepared. But I would like to express my sincere thanks to, firstly, Dr. Paul Lam and the Tai Chi for Health Institute board members for their nomination and the recognition of the fine work that our student Cara Rowley has put herself through. Cara herself, she's not here at the moment, but she's resting, I think, in between doing all the classes up in Townsville. So we have a couple of months off. So we kick off again in February. So she's getting ready for that. But for Cara, for her confidence in us to firstly share with us her very intimate details about her condition, being on the autism spectrum and being non-verbal are significant challenges for most people, and she shared that with us. And then secondly, for having the confidence in both Denise and I to work with us to try to work on what her capabilities are. I think that's really important. Of course, my wonderful companion here, my partner in life and crime, Denise, for all of the hard work that Denise has gone through to firstly schedule all the group activities and the one-on-one sessions with Cara, but also finding, as Janet pointed out, the funding opportunities and partnering with a lot of different organisations to help us get a 4-year project together. It's taken 4 years. So some of you may have seen Cara's presentation last year. She was out here, so I'm not going to go too much into that. That information is available on Dr. Paul Lamb's newsletter from November. He's did a beautiful presentation in there and had a lot of links to videos and YouTubes that he was talking about before. So please have a look. It really is quite inspirational, and there's a lot of hard work that she put in herself. In December last year, Denise and I submitted a short article as well to be included in the newsletter, and it basically went along the lines of Cara is a dedicated Tai Chi practitioner who began her Tai Chi 17 years ago with the local community. Her path to become an instructor was impeded by her communication challenges due to her non-verbal status. And when we say that, we actually mean she couldn't speak any words at all. She could verbalise sounds, but wasn't able to actually articulate any words, so quite challenging. Cara approached us about 4 years ago and said, hey, I want to become an instructor, with her text-to-talk, you know, and her mum. And we kind of went, okay, all right, you know. So anyway, we'll leave that thought with you. But with the aid of text-to-talk technology on her iPad, complemented with her introduction or learning of the Auslan sign language, and also hand gestures by pointing and, you know, talking about weight shift and all of those things, and thinking outside the box, Cara is now able to confidently assist in presenting a Tai Chi class. Probably not quite ready to run a class on her own, like there's a lot of logistics that go with that, but certainly co-presenting with Denise and I on many classes throughout the year just gone. And she actually does that now at the very same centre that she started 17 years ago, running or co-presenting classes there. So that's a great big circle of life, basically, you know. So that's really good.
And that's really good when we talk about community centres helping. That just is a really good example of a Tai Chi class starting there all those years ago, and then her now being able to co-present at the same place. So it's really interesting.
So I'm just warning you also, I only had a 5-minute speech, but Janet said make it 15. So we're ad-libbing as we go along. We're ad-libbing as we go along. All right. Dr. Paul Lamb also went on to say in the December newsletter that beyond Cara's personal journey, this initiative has set a powerful precedence for an inclusive Tai Chi for Health community, and we actually agree with that a lot. It demonstrates that technology coupled with unwavering support can break down many barriers, enabling individuals of all abilities to participate and contribute to our Tai Chi family. And I think that's a good example. She is a good example of what can be achieved with a little bit of support from all of us. So by changing our combined mindsets, we can change the focus of what is possible as opposed to focusing on what the challenges are, or the difficulties, or the disabilities, you know. And the 4-year-long project with Cara has given us the opportunity to help her realise some of her dreams, which is really good. Page 2. Of course, the process hasn't always been easy. You know, what to say when an individual presents with challenges along the autism spectrum. So for some of you that have got that medical background, you'll know what I mean. And is non-verbal and wants to be a Tai Chi instructor. You know, saying, of course, why not, may not be the first thing that comes to your mind. Finding initial support from my colleagues and peers also was very challenging. It presented a need to shift the mindset. Could a non-medically trained master trainer actually take on such a project? You know, when I first approached some of my colleagues here, they said, well, you know, you're not qualified. I go, yeah, that's true. I don't teach Tai Chi. I may not be an occupational therapist, I may not be a physiotherapist or speech therapist, but what is it that I'm actually supposed to be doing? I'm supposed to be teaching somebody to be safe and effective instructor. So I kind of said,
how hard can it be?
How hard can it be?
And I could remember those words. And just to give you an example of some of the things that we had to do, Kara's text to talk is, she has an iPad. The software is very antiquated, really, really antiquated. So it actually, you know, you and I and everybody would take 10 minutes to talk through the warm-ups. It took 1.5 years to get those warm-ups onto the text to talk, because we wanted to make sure that the timing was correct. It was slow and continuous. We wanted to make sure Kara had input into it, and it wasn't just us doing the work, it was her input as well. And we also had to make sure that there was enough information, safety-wise, for an absolute beginner, because that would be the people that Kara would be targeting, people with challenges that Kara would be targeting. So 1.5 years that took.
For 10 minute press the button.
So that just gives you an idea of some of the things that we did in that 4 years.
So there were many wonderful achievements and milestones reached. Kara's confidence and trust in both of us has been unwavering. Even when she got a little bit frustrated because, you know, we pushed it as hard as we could, she would still come back and have another go, and always had that trust and confidence in us. Kara's willingness to try new and innovative ways to help her experience the subtleties of Tai Chi, the feel of the Tai Chi. For those of you that are aware or familiar with symptoms of autism and signs, there's a lot of stiffness. There's a tendency to think about the starting point and the end point, but not that transition in between.
Not the journey.
Which is what I keep saying to Denise when we go travelling around. Honey, it's about the journey. But with people with those conditions and those challenges do struggle to feel the intermediate parts of the movement. So we did experiment a lot with expanding balls, and our 3-inch paintbrushes were, you know, one of our favourite tools to get her to visualise and feel the amount of pressure as she runs up and down a wall with the 3-inch paintbrush. That was clean, by the way. It wasn't like I got her to paint the house. So, you know, we had to find different ways for her to feel and sense what the Tai Chi movements of the hands and the weight transfers were like. So she really took that on board and had a lot of confidence in us about that. Speaking clearly for the first time in over 35 years to demonstrate the stepwise progressive teaching method. That was a huge emotional milestone for us and for her. Up till 35, she never said a single word. We taught her with sign language and with gestures and verbalising. Watch me whole move, follow me part 1, part 2, part 3, show me, you know, all those parts. So she actually used the stepwise progressive teaching vocabulary as the very first words that she ever spoke. And that was a huge thing for us. That was a huge thing for us. It was huge for her, but we felt really like, like our parents, you know, like and little kids have graduated. I'd also think that one of the huge successes was being able to witness, not only just within our own classes, but also here in January last year, when she came to the workshop, that overwhelming support from our Tai Chi family that nurtured her and provided a safe place for her and allowed her to have that confidence. I made special reference to Michael here, who was in her class last year, and how he enabled her to take the time to actually integrate with the rest of the group through the discussion process by inviting her to go, well, Carol, what do you think? You know, that was a huge step, a huge step. Thank you very much, Michael. I mentioned it to you last night. I wanted to just give you that recognition now. But it's that spirit that we've seen over the last few years, you know, that really brings home that everybody should be allowed to perform Tai Chi, no matter what, and that we can all be part of that process for each individual, very much along the lines of what Paul was saying today. Of course, you know, there were numerous organisational, institutional partnerships that Denise had been nurturing and fostering and pestering to find funds to help us actually run these classes so that Cara could be part of that mentoring and co-presenting process. You know, it's not cheap to put together a class, and if we're offering something free to people, you know, we still need ways to fund that. So thank you, Denise, for all that hard work. There were some notables. The North Townsville Community Hub, affectionately known as Notch, is a community group in our Townsville area. That's where Cara first started 17 years ago, and they provided us with a venue and a platform to integrate her to become a co-presenter in a weekly workshop, weekly class there, which was really good. And she now, as we said before, done the full circle and gone back 17 years later as teaching in the same place where she first learned. The Tai Chi for Health Association Queensland Incorporated, not to be confused with the Institute. This is a little local non-for-profit organisation in Queensland, and Denise was running a lot of that for a long time, and her funding opportunities and getting money to, over the 4-year period, to, you know, again, make all of this possible. The state government Department of Tourism, Innovation and Sport, I have to read that because they change their name every election. And I think
they do.
And I think they're going to change that again this year. There's a big change coming in town, Queensland. Department of Tourism, Innovation and Sports, the Minister, Mr. Sterling Hinchliffe, he actually sent a delegation to Townsville last year. June last year. To interview Cara, to film her actually conducting classes. And he put together a ministerial release, a press release in October last year, entitled "The Tai Chi Activating Non-Verbal Queenslanders Through an Innovative Program." So
very catchy.
Activating. I mean, you know, only a government person could think of that. But anyway, he went on to say, in a groundbreaking move towards inclusiveness, the Tai Chi for Health Association Queensland, which was driven by Denise, has implemented innovative text-to-talk technology to empower non-verbal people to become Tai Chi instructors and to be able to lead diverse exercise programs. So it made news within the state government, not federal, but state.
Actually, the federal government picked it up as well.
They did.
Yep.
So, of course, there were some challenges. How's my time going, Joe? Another 5 minutes?
Paul's just left.
Oh, no, Paul's left. Okay. So, we're going to wrap this up. So, there were some challenges, of course. Firstly, understanding the specific needs of an individual and customising any learning program to suit their capabilities is really paramount. And it took time. That took a long time, even working with Cara one-on-one to go, well, how can we modify the standard master trainer program, you know, to teach somebody to become an instructor? How can we customise it for that individual? So I think what I'm trying to say is here that there's no one size fits all. If you're working or have the opportunity to work with people with challenges, identify what their capabilities are and really work with those individuals. We can't just run one group or a class with 5 people that have autism, because each one's an individual. So I think that's really important for us to know, that it's going to be a very full-on, one-on-one process. Setting appropriate goals was really a bit of a challenge, finding the right balance between too much or not enough. And how to interpret the feel of the movements. As we said before, we all say to our students, we can hear ourselves saying, it's the feel, you've got to feel that movement. But how do you explain that to somebody that can't feel that? So those are things that we need to look at and try to work through. And allowing time to consolidate during those plateau stages. We all reach that in our own life. We get so far that we just can't absorb anymore. Well, it's probably more important for somebody that's really struggling, because you don't want to discourage them by making it too hard for them, and still provide that support. So learning for us, no matter who you might work with, always expect that your participant will achieve, and don't give up on them. That's what we'd like to say. That we had an expectation with Cara. Yes, you want to become an instructor, why not? Let's help you become an instructor. Let's not focus on what you can't do. Let's see what you can do and try and slot that in. And young Miss Pat Weber here is actually responsible for creating a bit of a Tai Chi junkie monster now. She passed Cara in January last year. And Cara now decides that she wants to be an instructor in diabetes, osteoporosis, Qigong, wants to do Chinese medicine as well. And we said, look, a girl has to have dreams, right? But it can't be us doing that. And lastly, just to wrap this up a little bit, I'd like to leave you with a popular proverb ending in the phrase, it takes a village to raise a child. Now, we've all heard this, and I believe that it actually is attributed to African culture, just in case you need a little bit of Google search on that. But I'd like to expand on that a little bit, on the idea of that. And I'd like to say, it might take a couple of enthusiastic instructors to ignite the spark, but it takes a global Tai Chi community to fan that flame. It really does.
And the other one that I'd like to, just an anonymous quote, helping one person might not change the world, but it could change the world for one person.